All right, welcome into another episode of the Ryan and Goodman podcast. I'm Jeff Goodman. He's Bob Ryan, and thanks for following us again. Thanks for listening, watching, wherever you do so, whether it's Stitcher, whether it's iTunes, whether it's on Bob's Twitter account, wherever it is. We appreciate you watching, and we've got a hopefully eventful offseason here of NBA. And we got some news, Bob. We got some news. Let's start with the news back home here with Marcus Smart. And that's your guy. So I know you would empty your bank account to keep Marcus Smart. But were you surprised that Brad Stevens emptied Wick and Pags' bank account for Marcus?
Pleasantly so, although it doesn't mean you still can't trade him, So I understand that. And I know where your fondest heart desire is, Jeff Goodman, but I am a suck up, a sickle pant, a cult follower, a devotee, a fan of that young man's, and I am willing to put up with his foibles. I don't like some of the shots either, guys. I don't want you to think I'm blind to his faults. I just love what he brings, and I maintain there is nobody quite like him. There's a few pests out there. Patrick Beverley's a pest. There's a few pests, but he's a 6'5" pest who's fearless, and he does some things that help you win games. And of course I wish he were more polished on the offensive end. Brad apparently is not giving up on the idea that he can smooth out the rough edges in the offensive end, because he's already on a record of talking about wanting the ball in his hands and all that stuff. So we'll see how this all works out. It's very interesting given the dynamics of Jason Tatum and how he comes back from his summer experience, his gold medal experience, and then the Jaylen Brown coming off an all-star year and how he sees himself fitting in. So they all have to, if they don't come together with one common purpose, which is a win, and figure out the best way to do it. It's sad because they're in their physical prime. They're all, this is not, the prime isn't 30, 31. This is when they're never going to be friskier than they are right now. He's the oldest of the bunch, right? Was he 26? So
27. And that was my question to you. At 27, can you change? Can you really alter your game when you've had these habits? And I've seen these habits from him forever. Okay. I think they've gotten worse, not better, in terms of shooting the ball, making poor decisions on what is a good shot and what is not a good shot. I don't think Brad held him accountable enough for that. I don't know if you disagree or not. I wonder if Ime is going to hold him more accountable and figure out a way to kind of get him to and maybe it'll be easier because you're saying, here's the ball. It's not Kyrie's ball anymore. It's not Kemba's show anymore. It is your show. So now you don't have to worry about scoring, taking all these shots and forcing things. You're going to get more shots. You're going to be on the court more. You're not just coming in as an offensive stopper anymore.
Okay. Well, that's very true. This is one of the many questions, the individual questions that we are looking to see answered by Ime. What is Ime's response to people? What's their response to him? We got a whole new thing. We got used to something for 7 years, and now we got a new one, and it's a blank slate for all of us. It's a blank. This is his first head coach job, so nobody knows for sure. We know he's got a pop pedigree, and we know his official background, but only we're going to find out what's really in his head and how he really goes about things when he's in charge. And this is we don't know, but it's very important. These are your three best players, and Marcus Smart is
that good enough? Can you be good enough if Marcus Smart is your third best player, Bob? Can you be a team that could win an Eastern Conference title with Marcus Smart as your third best?
You argued that he already was 2 years ago, or maybe you say he was the fourth best of Kemba, but Kemba was only temporarily the Kemba that they hoped for. He's been there at times, and they've gone into the Eastern Conference Finals. I like to think so, but I'll tell you what. I'm dying of curiosity. I don't usually talk like this in the middle of August, but I was training camp work tonight. I
want to see this too. I want to see the Marcus Smart. I hate to call it an experiment, but it is an experiment as a starting de facto point guard. Now, again, the beauty of it in a way is if Marcus Smart doesn't work out, you have a guy behind him that should be just as hungry, if not hungrier for different reasons, in Dennis Schroeder, that's saying to himself, you know what, at the first sign of this, and they should push each other. Marcus Smart just got paid and is really coming off kind of a subpar year for him, especially on the defensive end, and he was hurt. And now you've got Schroeder who's saying to himself, like, I got to make money for next year. I got to find a way to get in the court. I don't know where Peyton Pritchard in his 92-point pro-am performance fit in. Bob, I want to know, I texted Danny Ainge. I said, Danny, were you guarding Peyton Pritchard? The pride of Eugene, Danny Ainge. Were you guarding Peyton Pritchard in this performance?
I think a lamppost was that night. That just totally blows my mind. I mean, come on. Hey, if you told me that Durant went off for 92 in an exhibition game, I would have been dazzled. But
Peyton Pritchard? Come on.
I don't know how many FGAs were there for that. I didn't see.
I love the box score.
I haven't seen a box score. I don't know what it is.
If you saw the box score, that might be the last box score you ever look at after this one. This and Isaiah Thomas is, what did he have? 60? What did he have? 80? 70? Isaiah recently had
he had 80, I think.
80. I mean, come on. And then Nick Young tweets out how bad the pro-am's now. And then Jamal Crawford goes back at him and says, all right, they're that bad. You show up. Come on out to Seattle and play in our pro-am. Well, I saw Nick Young in the 3-on-3, the big three thing. Mm-hmm. And Nick Young looks like he's put on about a good 20, 25 pounds.
Well, okay.
I don't think he's showing up in any Seattle pro-am. But the pro-ams are, I mean, listen, if Isaiah Thomas, who can't get on a roster right now, is scoring 80, and Peyton Pritchard, who is the third point guard right now on an NBA team, is scoring 90, we know the pro-ams.
I'm not, I'm just, it's an amusing little subplot. Yes. I'm not putting a whole lot of, I know that, by the way, I like Peyton Pritchard, and I think we're going to always like him, and he's never going to be in the All-Star game, but he's going to be around for 10 or 12 years, and he's going to be probably play for a couple, several teams, frankly, and be coveted, and can be in a rotation of a championship team. Frankly, I think he's
and he fits well with Mark. Like, I actually think you could play him and Marcus Smart together, because Marcus can guard at such a high level and Pritchard can shoot at such a high level. You could actually put them on the court at the same time. Hey, the other thing we have not talked about is Kemba Walker going back to New York.
Well, I'm firmly of the opinion that I don't know what the hell they're looking at, that they would invest a lot of money, a lot of hope. Sure, we wish them well.
Yes.
But wow, that's really an optimistic viewpoint based on what he's shown. Just physical.
I don't think he's getting as much. I don't think the Knicks are paying him as much. I can't remember what the number was.
But of course, it's a big deal in New York. He's a hometown guy. He's excited. They're excited. Okay, great. It doesn't scare me. Okay, if I'm the rest of I don't see it upsetting the balance of power in the Eastern Conference, particularly. If I'm wrong, fine, and I'm happy for that guy. He's a worthy guy. You want to root for him. I wish it had worked out here. Totally wish it had worked out here, but it didn't. And I'd let the Celtics cut their loss, I thought, in time. And all right, the Knicks see they, but you can't tell me they know anything. They're hoping.
No, it's a hope, and again, the Knicks' their point guard situation has been so god awful over the last few years.
Yeah.
So I'm sure they're saying to themselves, you know what? He's better than whatever we have. We don't have to pay him, what the Celtics were paying him. So why not take a chance? I'm rooting for Kemba more than anybody. I love Kemba, and I think it's good for the league too that the Knicks are relevant. So
I want the Knicks to be relevant.
It's fun.
I've gone on record saying that a long time ago, and I lived through enough periods when they were to know what a difference it makes in the league. And also for the Celtic rivalry, it was fun. One of the great handful of rivals ever, right, was the early 70s Knicks Celtics. Oh my God, the Garden was a collegiate atmosphere. It was fun. But it's great when the Knicks, because the Knicks are polarizing. People would line up. The people love New York, hate New York, and that's good. They'll pay attention. That's the thing. They will pay attention.
I wonder how much they're going to have to load manage Kemba. And I guess you can if you're the Knicks, right? You play them 2 out of every 3, make sure the knee's healthy. And the problem is, again, when Kemba wasn't able to play in the playoffs for the Celtics last year, I think that was it. I think that was it for Brad Stevens. Was, you know what? If we can't count on him, what's he here for?
Of course. All right. That's what I'm saying. I don't see how it's any reason to think that things have improved substantially. That seems to be really a problem. But if we're wrong, fine. Hey, it won't be the first time. But I mean, I certainly don't wish him any ill will. I trust me on that.
All right. So another guy whose health has been questioned, but got paid today was Joel Embiid. He got 4 years, $196 million, the supermax. And according to Adrian Wojnarowski, I don't think there are any provisions in there health-wise. I think it's fully guaranteed.
Fully guaranteed, I'm told. I mean, yeah.
27.
Forget about 2019-20. Forget about season. Here's the number of games he's played in the last 3 full seasons.
Okay.
63, 64, 51.
It's not great.
He's out there. Is he good? Oh, my God. He's frighteningly talented.
Yeah.
He can do all the stuff in a low post that I cherish, and he can step out and hit the three, and he can rebound, and he can play this game.
There's nothing he can't do, Bob. There's nothing this kid cannot do on the court. He's that talented, but are you going to give him that money guaranteed through 2027 when he will be 33 years old?
Well, they made that commitment because we're told it's guaranteed. So good luck to him. But I mean, and also the other thing, of course, we know he's one of the fun personalities in the league.
Yes.
I mean, who doesn't? He's fun to have around, and that's good too. So
I wonder how much too playing hurt last year in the playoffs.
Yeah.
That had Daryl Morey saying, you know what, if he's going to go out there, because that was the big knock on him in the past, was the first sign of everything or anything, Joel Embiid and the Sixers would both shut him down. But playing like he did through the postseason last year and gutting it out, you could tell he wasn't himself.
Yeah.
I wonder if that said to Daryl Morey and the Sixers management, all right, you know what, let's get this done now rather than waiting another year.
Yeah, it could be something. Well, I mean, whatever. It's a swallow hard step to invest that much in a guy who has not proven that he can stay healthy. And so
is it a dumb business decision to do it now instead of waiting a year from now? Because what if he gets hurt this year? What if he has some major injury again this year? Like, why do you need to do it today rather than waiting another year?
No. I guess that's why they pay guys like Daryl Morey the big money, and we sit here and criticize. I don't know. It's a valid question, but I don't know. They're afraid. Was the contract? Would he been up at the end of this year? Well, this is an extension. I know.
An extension. It doesn't kick in until 2 more years. So
he already wasn't as if they had to worry about losing him.
Correct.
Taking a walk.
Now, again, do you worry about upsetting him if he wants a deal now and his agent wants a deal now? Sure, but again, from a business standpoint, I feel like too many GMs, too many athletic directors, they make decisions that aren't based enough on like sound business decisions. And we'll see. I mean, again, the big question really isn't Embiid getting the supermax. The big question is, can they deal Ben Simmons here before the start of training camp? Because how awkward is it going to be, Bob? How awkward is it going to be if Ben Simmons comes into camp knowing they have tried like hell to deal him all off season and couldn't find a taker for what they were trying to get?
I can't imagine what that is going to be like. And then again, now the latest rumor out there, not latest, that the ongoing rumor is Minnesota has interest. Oh, terrific. So I took a look at Minnesota's roster.
Yeah. Who do you want? Who do you want?
The only, I take D'Angelo Russell. I mean, he's and Anthony Edwards is certainly, and of course, Karl Anthony Towns. But you don't need him and Embiid. But obviously, something that would have to include Edwards and Russell, I would think, if they're running.
You would think both. Probably.
Yeah, both at least.
I mean, again,
they have left Ed Davis.
Yeah, no, they have nothing. They have those 3 guys.
Torian Prince. You can't name half their guys anymore.
Right. No, it would. Would you do that? Is that a fair deal if you were doing some Anthony Edwards, D'Angelo Russell for Ben Simmons? If you're Philly, would you do that? You would.
I would, because I'm fed up with Ben Simmons. Right. I think they'd be lucky to get that deal, in my opinion. But they obviously, we placed a very high value on him. And they're sitting there. The reason to think that there was going to be a enormous interest. Oh my God, All-Star Ben Simmons, and he is the oddest star in the league. To be very polite, he's the strangest, oddest, most unconventional star in the league, and all-star. There's no question. There's nobody with the monumental up and the monumental down side that he has that purports to be an all-star.
Especially in this current climate of the NBA, where if you can't shoot, like you could have gotten away with Ben Simmons 20 years ago.
Yeah.
You can't do that now.
No, and then there's the ongoing. It's not just that he can't, but then the free throw thing.
Right.
And he's alleged I don't care, point guard 6'9", but point guard, you got to worry about him in the last 2 minutes or 3 minutes, and
can't put the ball in your point guard's hands.
No, so that's why I don't want any part of him, because I don't. And
right,
he's going to have some miraculous conversion over the summer of 2021, which I doubt is happening.
Well, you know what he can do? He can be effective in regular season, but when it comes down to the playoffs, that's when he gets exposed.
Sure. Yeah, man, it was.
Right? I mean, nobody's doing that every regular season game. They don't mean enough. They're not playing that hack a game on Ben Simmons every game, but in the playoffs, they will every time.
They do. Right. Well, there's another guy that's moving.
Yeah.
He's quite used to moving. I bet he can pack very well and very neatly. And knowing him, he probably does pack very neatly. With his 9th team in the last 7 years, because twice he's moved on during a season since he left the Celtics. So counting his last year, half year in Boston, Rajon Rondo, 34 years of age, has been shipped to Memphis. He's getting closer to home, Jeff. It's not as close as he's going to get, I guess. I don't see any other franchise that's going to get him closer. So unless they revive the Louisville, Kentucky Colonels, all kidding aside, he's a very fascinating study, a career study, don't you think?
Yeah, I was very, very critical of him when he was with the Celtics. And I was critical of him even coming into Boston because pretty much every coach who he played for didn't really like coaching him. Like even Tubby Smith, he won't say it publicly. He's way too nice of a human being, but he couldn't coach Rondo. And then you had, Doc couldn't really coach Rondo, and Brad didn't love Rondo and they shipped him out pretty quick. And I don't know. I just felt like it was a perfect storm for Rondo, right? You put a guy around who can't shoot with 3 Hall of Famers, and it worked. It worked. But if you didn't have him with 3 Hall of Famers, is Rondo anything close to what he is? Like,
but he brought, he at his peak there he brought extra stuff, many things to the table.
Totally.
He has great court vision.
Yep.
He's a 3-time assist leader. I don't know. I didn't realize he had actually led the league 3 times. He's a big steals guy. He
used to be a great defender.
Oh, yeah. He's 34 now. I mean, it's not that. I'm talking about his peak. Yeah. But here's a guy. He has 42 career triple doubles, 32 regular season, 10 playoffs. He has, and I'll say this, and this is an unsupportable statement, other than my observation. Yeah. Because the numbers, I don't think you can rely strictly on the numbers. With the possible exception of Fat Lever, inch for inch, he's the greatest rebounder in the history of the NBA. Inch for inch.
Fat Lever
the best rebounding guard, certainly under 6'4", that we've ever seen, except for maybe Fat Lever. We can't forget Fat Lever. Who was Lafayette Fat Lever was putting up those triple doubles, was putting up those double-digit rebound games too.
With the Nuggets, right?
Rondo in his young prime with the Celtics, he had some enormous games.
Yeah, he
did. Enormous games, and he was the guttiest rebounder, defensive, offensive. That's a bonus. He was a tremendous asset at time, until he wasn't. But then he goes to Dallas, and he and Rick, he doesn't even finish the season. Remember?
Yeah. Yeah.
And now he seems to be a permanent rental.
The crazy part too is you always heard about how tough Rondo was to coach and everything like that, and then it kind of flipped even in the locker room. I remember in Chicago, if you remember, like it was Jimmy Butler, Dwayne Wade, and Rondo. Obviously, Rondo got hurt in the playoff series against the Celtics, and everything changed.
Yeah, that's important.
But it was also in the locker room. Butler and Wade were boys, and Rondo actually, the younger guys loved Rondo, loved him. He fought for him. You know, Jimmy Butler. You know how he treats younger guys. Anyway, and Rondo really stood up for him, and I think. You know, the interesting part will be what will the next chapter of Rondo's career be once he retires? Will he be a coach? Because everybody talks about how cerebral he is, but can he coach players? Like, I don't know. I don't know Rondo well enough to know, can he deal with that?
I heard it more than once out of the lips of Doc Rivers, smartest player I ever coached.
Wow. Wow.
And I go, I'm just going, well, if you say so, I can't contradict you.
Right.
But, okay. The only thing I ever got out of Doc on the subject of Rondo, other than that, in terms of, what's the deal, Doc? Come on.
Yeah.
You can tell Bob. I will, just between you and me. What's the real story with Rondo, Doc? And the most I ever got out of him was, you don't know what Rondo you're going to get day to day when he shows up to the gym.
Right. Which makes sense. So
didn't say he's a bad person. Didn't say he was a bad teammate. Didn't say that at all. He just said but he was moody, and that's as far as he would go. I think, as far as I know, KG and Pierce liked him.
Oh yeah,
right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'll stick up for him.
Yeah, Ray Allen and Rondo weren't very good.
Well, Ray didn't end well with Boston anyway, but sadly. But anyway, yeah, Rondo. But here's the thing. One reason I was intent on talking about this, and as soon as I saw the story, oh boy, this gives me an excuse to talk about Rondo when I saw they got traded, right? Was somewhere in the last couple of months, I actually saw someone float the idea of him in the Hall of Fame.
Oh, come on.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying.
Come on.
Well, that guy, I said, let's take a 20. No, let's have a full timeout on this one. Stop it.
Boy, who's next in the Hall of Fame if Rondo goes to the Hall of Fame? I mean, come on. What are we doing?
No, of course not. But this was maybe playoff Rondo, and all that stuff, which
the highest level Rondo.
Which we didn't see this year, by the way. So
no, he didn't show up in the playoffs.
Last year. We didn't see it this year.
Right.
That Rondo in years 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness! You mentioned. Oh, he had of those 10 playoff triple doubles. There was a 32, 10, 15 against Chicago.
Yeah.
No, that was regular season. He had a couple monster playoff ones. Oh no, I mean he was an intriguing player.
Yep.
Very intriguing player. I mean, it was fun to write about because of the nature of his game as a writer, your columnist. It was a dream, to write about. And,
did you deal with him much personally?
No, I didn't. I didn't. So I can't verify anything there.
I got a good story for you. So a couple of years ago, it was when the Lakers were in, right? Was it Lakers? When Rondo and DeMarcus Cousins were on the team and they came in. I think it was Lakers.
But it would have been.
But I'm trying to remember where, like, LeBron and the other. So it was pregame. And I'm going over. I never got along with really either one. But really, I didn't know Rondo. Cousins I knew, and we did not have a great relationship. And I walk in the locker room, and DeMarcus is there. And we had made up a few years ago. We talked for a while in Vegas at Summer League. He caught me coming out of a restaurant and kind of went at me a little bit. And we were good. And we've talked several times since. So I go over, and he's hurt at this point. DeMarcus isn't playing. And it's the visiting locker in that back left corner. Okay. So we're in the back left corner, and DeMarcus is talking to me in there probably for a good half an hour while everybody pregame is out shooting. And Rondo comes in, and he asked DeMarcus to move. And DeMarcus is like, no. And I'm like, oh, this should be fun. And he's like, come on, man. And DeMarcus is like, no. And I'm just like, I'm waiting here for like haymakers to be thrown. And like, you could tell, like, Rondo's like, come on, man, just effing move. Like, you're not even playing. You're not playing. I'm trying to get to my locker so I can change or whatever, get ready. So I really thought it was going to escalate potentially. I really did. Because these two dudes are both capable and both stubborn. And finally, Boogie moved over and we talked a few feet over, but it was pretty interesting. It could have been one of those stories, Bob, that I wish I had on video if they started haymakers at each other.
By the way, as we speak, as he enters the 2021-22 regular season, he is averaging exactly 10.0 points a game career.
Wow.
8.1 assists. Still.
I wonder how many guys are in the Hall of Fame that did not average double figure scoring if he ends up being sort of that, which he will.
I'm going to guess none. No, that doesn't mean I wouldn't advocate somebody that I believed in for if I, but
right.
This is the guy. There's a reason why he keeps moving, which is he's somebody, I don't know whether people just think maybe we'll get one more thing out of him. I don't know. The only time we know for sure was dissatisfaction was losing Dallas. That we know for sure.
Yeah.
He got benched, right? He got.
Oh yeah, which you knew Carlisle on him. That wasn't
stay home.
Right. That was not going to go well at all. Did you see my guy Luka Garza got a 2-way contract with the Pistons? Played very well in the summer league.
Oh, I want him to make it.
I can't believe it's even a 2-way. Like, to me, how is he not your, reserve big? Like, he's shooting the ball well from the perimeter now. He even said, he's like, listen, I saw a quote from him. He's like, listen, I probably can't beat anybody in a three-quarter court sprint, but you know what? Who's going to go harder than me? Is basically what he was saying. Is like, and it's true. Like, he's lost a bunch of weight. He still doesn't run the court smoothly by any means, but he plays hard. And now the biggest thing that he's done is he's made himself into a pick and pop big if he wants to be.
Well, that's extremely important in this game.
Right.
You want a guy like that on your 12-man roster? You can't find all these teams, 412 times 30, 360 players. You can't find a job. I'm sorry. That's an indictment of the mentality of this league right now. I think if he can't find a job.
Luke is one of those guys. He's just again, watching him and his progression over college has been awesome. All right, let's end with this. So, Overtime Elite. I don't even know how much you followed this thing, but Overtime Elite is now also taking players from college basketball. The G League takes 5 or 6 a year, and they pay them somewhere in that $500,000 range. Overtime Elite has backers, big-time backers, like Kevin Durant, Jay Will, I think Bezos, like big-time backers, money people behind it, okay? Their model is they're taking kids in high school, okay? So they're offering them, could be $100,000, could be as much as $600,000 a year to basically leave high school. They're going to pay them. We don't even know who they're going to pay, like who they're going to play. We don't know a lot of the specifics, how they're going to make money. Overtime is it's a company, Bob, in which they put out highlights on social media. That's how they get their money. So they got a ton of money behind them right now. But this model, they're going after anywhere up to about 30 high school players. And those high school players aren't going to be able to play in college after they get overtime. The only route they can go at that point is 5 or 6 of them will go to the G League Ignite from there. And then the other 25 are probably going to either have to stay at overtime for a year until they're eligible for the NBA draft, or they can play overseas or wherever.
Well, I know we're heading there. Isn't there a third? I think at one point I thought there were 3 entities out there that were.
That was probably the failed LeVar Ball League.
No, I don't know. I remember that, but okay. But I say this with regard to how this affects college sports, with basketball and football, because we have entered into that famous phrase, the rest of our lives. We have entered into the rest of our lives. It isn't coming; it's here. Right. And that's it. It's here. And the NIL thing is already having incredible ramifications. People like me never saw coming to a month ago already. All right. Yep. And I'm sure I'm not alone. I'm sure a lot of ADs are blown away at big schools finding out what the immediate ramifications are of the NIL going on with the football and basketball. And maybe even in North Dakota with the hockey team. Who the hell knows? I'm serious.
They're going to make some money.
All right. Point is, we're in the rest of our lives with this thing, and we're learning to adjust to it. I mean, college sports are never going to be the same as they were. You throw in what's happening in football with the Texas and Oklahoma, and the ramifications that's going to have for basketball as well. And football has affected basketball. It ruined the ACC. It eliminated. It totally smeared. Blew out the Big East. It's all because of football. Two leagues that were founded strictly with basketball and only basketball in mind. And that's the case of the ACC. People have to understand that. Younger fans don't understand that. This goes back to like 1953, 54 when they formed the ACC. It was about basketball and nothing else. So anyway. No, we're in the rest of our lives, and I'm not happy about it because I feel, did I waste all those years, the cheering and following it and caring and
it's going to be different, Bob. It's it's hard because I like it for the kids. They get opportunities, so it's good for these kids. But yeah, I mean, now you've got this league that again is taking these kids in high school that I don't know how educated these kids are and their families on their decision. Now, again, if you told me in high school I can make $500,000 my senior year, I probably would have went.
Yeah, we don't. Yeah, of course, it's such an abstract for us, to even consider it. No, we don't know what it's like. I don't know what it's like to come from a certain background and have that opportunity presented and immediately and how your head wouldn't be turned on. No, I don't understand all that. But they're going to, the experience that as it used to be, as it could be of the collegiate experience, it doesn't exist for these kids anymore. And it's a part of life that they'll never know what they missed. Right. But then again, as it's constituted now, it isn't quite the same as it was even 10 years ago, let alone 50,
they're not going to have that brand. They're not going to have that college experience. But you know what? If they're that good, Bob, they're going to get to the NBA, whether they go to overtime elite, whether they go to the G League, whether they go to Duke, whether they go to Murray State. If
they're the pool, that's the NBA is going to have to work from.
Right.
The pool's
going to check it out. They're going to be watching.
The pool is it's only 2 rounds, and the pool's been extended to Europe. And there aren't. I didn't count this year. I'm going to do it when we're done. Just how many and the 60 people that were drafted. How many Europeans as opposed to American born?
Yeah.
It's all different. That's the pool. That's what you're dealing with. Yeah, I totally agree. And I'm one that's saying that I've been an advocate of forget run and done, let them come. But let them come and understand that they may wind up in the G League, and that's fine with me. I don't care, Oh, no, it's different. And where do we get to college basketball? How would you like to be trying to put together previews?
Oh, I got to start working on them soon. I got to start preparing and looking.
How do you keep track? You have a mean. How do you keep track of everything? The portal.
I couldn't keep up with a transfer list, Bob. I gave up on it late in the summer. I said the hell with it. I can't keep up with it anymore.
No, I wouldn't think so. It's
very hard. I'd like to the project I wanted to do, and maybe I'll do it for the top 25 teams. Let's say that my preseason top 25. What is the percentage of roster turnover from a year ago to now? I bet it's got to be about 50%. So I'll work on that. I'll have the answer for that for you next week when you guys come back. I'll have the answer for the roster turnover for the top 25 preseason teams, and hopefully we'll have some more. We'll have some more news. Lauri Markkanen, one of the biggest names left on the board. Not much left, but we'll talk about that next week, I'm sure, on the Ryan Goodman podcast. So thanks for joining us again.
Maybe Ben Simmons will have a new home.
Maybe he will. Probably not. He'll probably be holding out when or they may be holding him out when training camp starts. So, all right, there you have it.